So can you tell us, how did you get started with complexity and just like the vision?
Complexity has obviously been like my third child through this entire journey, where I have a daughter and a son, and complexity. So I always joke it's kind of my third child. And in 2017, we kind of made a big leap in our evolution, where we partnered with Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, and John Goff, a local real estate investor. They actually bought majority control of our company, and we relocated everyone in the organization, many of which had been working for the company almost a decade, to Frisco, Texas, where we built the GameStop Performance Center, a cutting edge training facility on the campus of the Dallas Cowboys, which is really neat. So
And I've been really excited to hear like a lot of that treatment for mental health and just stress and strain. And like
yeah,
one of my favorite highlights, I think it came out shortly after the move down to Frisco, was with the performance center, was the cryotherapy treatment. So it's even
yeah,
treating recovery. So I mean, my wrist, my elbow, it's done after like 37 years of gaming. Like it's not there, but now we're treating these young stars with the rehabilitation to
a
keep
hundred
them going.
percent.
And we're talking longevity now. People are going to have 20, 30-year careers in esports, with treatment like this being the baseline standard for professional esports. Like that's
Yep.
incredible and such a great place to be.
You hit the nail on the head, where we want to extend a gamer's lifespan and career inside of gaming. It's a selfish, purpose, right? Because we're investing a lot of money in these gamers. We want them to be able to play for us longer. B, it's the right thing to do. If you can give them a more pleasant experience. They live in luxury apartments that we provide down the street. I mean, everything's kind of topsy-turvy, in 2020. The center's not open for training, which is disappointing. But yeah, that's how we built it out, and we're really excited about it, and excited about the future and what our studies are going to learn with our medical partners, and doing our best to kind of treat gamers like professional traditional athletes.
Do y'all have like studies already out there to kind of help the whole esports industry as a whole?
For sure, we're not going to hoard the data that we get. We opened the GameStop Performance Center in May of last year, so a lot of the studies are really just getting off the ground, and obviously 2020 has kind of put a halt, to be halt, to be honest, on. But we do 100% plan on releasing some of these studies to the public. It's not something that we want to hoard. It's something we want to contribute to the gaming community. We had a great I don't want to give her the wrong tag, but she's a sports therapist. Her name is Kate McGee, and you can find her on Twitter. And she came in and did demonstrations on how to best stretch before you play, and what muscles are affected, and how you need to take care of your arms and your elbows to prevent carpal tunnel. We've already done preliminary studies about the best seating for your chair, and partnered with Herman Miller, which makes some of the best seating equipment. And the way we designed our training rooms, not only do they have lights that can simulate any kind of colors and strobing effects or anything distractions you might have on stage, we can pump in audience noise into the actual rooms. And each desk is obviously adjustable. We have the best chairs possible, so we can fit each gamer in such a way to minimize the impact of the long hours of training on their body. But yeah, as much as we can do, we're going to publish to the community. It's our goal to be a good contributor to the community, a good community member in general at Complexity, and we're excited about where this is going to head. My love for competition and my love for sports. When I found esports through a game called Counter-Strike, I was just like in love instantly, because I'm like, this is the marriage of my two passions: traditional sports like football and nerd culture and video games. That's why I started Complexity, and that's why I got into the business.
We had a good question right here. I like it from Yang Gang VR. Oh, this makes sense now. Okay. Thoughts on VR esports?
I think I've definitely had my eye on the potential for this for a while now. My son has an Oculus Rift. He has an Oculus Quest. You know, we just played the new Half-Life, which was fantastic. It was so, well, I should say he played it and I watched on the monitor. He's a much better gamer than I am, but it was so amazing. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think VR still needs to come a ways before we can have truly competitive platforms where you have a skill gap that's very high. See, the thing that really differentiates just kind of casual esports versus professional esports, one thing at least, there needs to be a skill gap. Whereas if you play it a lot and you're very talented at it, you could just destroy the average gamer, right? And I think a lot of VR esports are starting to get there from what I've seen. I don't consider myself an expert by any, sense of the imagination, but I think anytime new tech comes out, whether it's VR, AI, all this new stuff you kind of read about where they can do this in your brain and all this crazy stuff. Yeah. I think esports is going to be there. And that's what's beautiful about esports is we're not tied to one thing. Like we're not tied to a football or a basketball or a soccer ball. Whatever technology's in the future, we're going to figure out a way to compete against each other, and that's going to be an esport. So I think as long as there's digital entertainment, as long as there's video gaming around, I think esports will be around. It's a beautiful thing.
One thing I really wanted to ask, especially in esports, we don't see that much or many women as well. Coming from, of course, you building complexity and being in esports for years, what's some of the things that y'all want to add from your organization to kind of uplift women or to seek women to be more confident in joining like esports period? Because there's always apprehension because a lot of women rather in that community don't feel accepted a lot. Yeah. So they know how to play. They have the skills, but they're like, wow, I'm about to go through all of this BS and I don't know if I want. So what are y'all planning to do or what have y'all done already to kind of uplift women in esports?
I think that's a wonderful question. And, I have like I mentioned earlier, I have a 16-year-old daughter and she's grown up around complexity and she's grown up around gaming. And frankly, like I've always monitored her gaming way more closely than I have my sons because I know how vicious it is out there, the misogyny and just how women have been treated. People hide behind the cloak of online anonymity to just be monsters and complete jerks. And it's completely unacceptable. And I think gaming is starting to confront some of these issues this year and it's going to be painful. But it needs to be done. It's like excising a cancer, with the scalpel. It's probably going to hurt, but you better get the cancer out. And the esports industry and the gaming industry in general has not had enough female participation for years and years and years. We do our best to make sure we have women included. We have many women across our staff, and we're also lucky enough to work with people like Carmen, Electra, and Maddie. I was going to call her Carmen Electra. I need another coffee today. with Electra and Maddie and other content producers and streamers. Yeah. When you speak specifically about the competitive side, it's definitely something I want to see try to emerge. And it's been this lock that we haven't been able to figure out in esports. When you look at esports, there's nothing physically that would prevent a female from being the best gamer at any single game in the world, right? Twitch reaction speed and cognitive skills. Obviously, women, often excel in those types of activities. So we have to ask ourselves, why aren't they competing at the highest level? Generally speaking, there are some Counter-Strike players and other players, in League and Overwatch that have done phenomenal. But when you look at the mathematics, you're like, this isn't adding up. I'll be honest, I don't know what the answer is there. I think it's more opportunities. And then you get into the whole conversation. Do you do a female league?
I was just about to say that.
Like they do in like college basketball and pro basketball. Do you have it separated so there are more opportunities that way? Or is it in esports because there's not a huge physical difference where you don't have to be 6'3", 250 and dunk a basketball? I don't pretend to know all those answers. I know that complexity, we greatly value female voices and female opinions. We feel we're not balanced in the way we view the world, the way we market our company, and the way we approach everything that we do without female voices in the room. We're very proud of that. My VP in charge of making all the money is a female, Ashley, and she's sensational. And we've had the honor over the years of working with a lot of females. But at the same time, I don't pretend to have all those answers. I just know we got to keep seeking those answers on the competitive side, on the social side, on the corporate side, and and just we need to keep it at the forefront of everyone's minds in gaming. Gaming is partially about escapism, right? Gaming is much more about community and enjoying something that you love with other people who also love it, right? And if you start closing doors and treating segments of that community differently, or you know, with disrespect, it's no longer the community that we all hope it could be. So it's right for us to call these things out, and it's right for us not to tolerate certain behaviors. And I think, you know, many of these behaviors have been tolerated for too long. And I've been in this business for a very long time. And 2020 has once again caused me to look in the mirror and be like, what am I doing to try to set a good example? Am I setting a positive example? Am I sharing with whatever wisdom that I've learned along my 17-year-old journey with younger people, whether it's, you know, how to treat people, or whether it's how to have a good attitude, or whether it's toxicity or discipline, or how to get a job, or how to be a good teammate. Like, I just started my new YouTube recently because I have far more time not with the quarantine, because I'm usually at business dinners every night and traveling extensively. So I have the time now. And when I looked at myself in the mirror, what can I contribute? You know, I certainly don't have all the answers, but I think I could contribute a little bit. So let's put it out there. And if it helps a couple dozen people, and they can ripple out from there and maybe share some of these concepts and share that we should be treating each other right. We should be treating each other fairly. You know, we all have a voice in some capacity. And if we could spread good, we could spread light, we could spread positivity and optimism and love and fairness and kindness and these kinds of principles, it's going to ripple in a dark world. So I'm trying to do whatever I can do. You know, sometimes you feel like you're shouting into the abyss with the new YouTube channel, right? You get like 100 views and then these goofy, like little quick clips are getting like 400,000 in an afternoon, but it doesn't matter. You have to know that what you're trying to share is positive and it's right, and you need to put it out there anyway, because even if it only helps one person, you've helped that one person. And if they each help one person, right, it spreads out and it ripples, and we can create good in gaming.
It's been loud about Valorant. I know you've
I love that game, man.
I know you guys have announced, you know, you guys have a team now under Valorant. How was that process and getting the talent to even put on your guys' roster? People
always ask me this: how do you choose what games you're going to go into? And although it is a science, it's much more of an art form than a science. And, you know, we want games with good developers. We want games we believe that are going to have a long life, not a game that's going to pop and then disappear in 12 months. We want games that might have good viewership, that are fun to watch, and that, of course, could become economically viable for us to be in if they aren't right away. And, you know, I've been around with the debut of so many big games, you know, all the way back to the Counter-Strikes and the Dotas of the world. I remember League of Legends started. Some games we believe in and invest in on different levels and at different times. Right now, Valor is definitely and obviously in very, very early beta. And we've seen some organizations come in and commit large amounts of funds to the tunes of, you know, I know a couple of players are making north of $20,000, maybe $30,000 a month. And that's one strategy. So their strategy is, we believe in this game. We want to go in and grab market share with star players early and then build on that market share. And that's one strategy. My strategy is traditionally been more conservative and more fiscally conservative, where I want to be able to go and be involved in a community. I want to be able to market to that community, produce content for that community, compete in that community in a fiscally sound way in the early days. There's a phenomenon we love to call beta all-stars, or when a new game comes out like this, there's these superstars that emerge early in the beta. But if you watch and really study it scientifically, how many of the beta all-stars are actually still stars 2, 3, 4 years down the road? Not many. So we've put together a team that we believe in, that we believe is talented and has a lot of upside potential, without going after some of the quote unquote big names with huge followings on Twitter and Twitch and things like that, because we want to build this squad from the ground up. We want to continually be investing in the squad in a fiscally wise manner, because we do believe in the game, but we also don't want to go gangbusters in the game like we recently did in Counter-Strike until the game has come to a point where it's economically intelligent and reasonable to be doing so. If Riot has large leagues, or maybe someday they do a franchise league type situation, permanent partnership like League of Legends, and now we can make an investment in that game and there's revenue share and we got our skins in the game and there's all this going on, that would justify a much, much higher spend, similar to what we recently did in Counter-Strike. But, I've been around a very long time and we tend to be very patient at Complexity. We have absolutely no fear of missing out on any trend because we know we can always hop that bus further down the road. And we're very, very excited to be in the game. I have high hopes for the game. I've been learning it on my stream recently. I'm very bad, but I've got a couple cool clips that I've been tweeting out, 1 in 1,000 types things.
I see you. I was just curious, has like your experience, your knowledge around recruiting, scouting, and just the overall way Counter-Strike has developed, has that helped influence the way that
100%.
Valorant? Yeah.
100%. And I make sure, and I get too much credit when our teams do well and probably too much blame when they don't, except the buck does stop here. So I deserve the blame, but I don't deserve all the credit. We have a general manager. His name is Soren. He's got an AGM, and then we'll hire a manager for each game division. And they do a lot of the legwork. Outside the recent Counter-Strike situation where I dove in headfirst and was involved on an hourly level, I said, hey, we want to be in this game, spend a few months figuring it out. What's our best play? Who are the best players? What's the best entry? What's the best timing? And get a manager and let's kind of sort it out. They do all the hard stuff and I just get to tweet out the announcement. I had to sign off on it and I'm one of the people that has to sign their checks. But Soren and his group do a lot of the heavy lifting. They do all the demo watching, all the networking, all the conversations. See, as CEO of a company, one way I try to explain it to people is when you have a company, say 200 people, whatever, I consider myself like the guy up front of an orchestra. You got your trombones, your bass drums, your violins, all this different thing. They all have their different parts. And I'm the guy up there going like this. First I have to put the orchestra together, and then I have to conduct it to make sure we're playing beautiful music. If the trombone player gets sick, I got to deal with it. If the tuba guy is fighting with the violinist, I have to deal with it. Because if I don't deal with it, we're not going to play beautiful music. If I sit down myself and try to play an instrument, then there's nobody kind of doing this. There's nobody kind of guiding the path, and the music will sound poorly. So a lot of times when we see good things come out of Complexity, it's because I've tried to pour into the trumpet player, whatever it is, and that person has become so dang good at their job. When he rips off on a solo, everyone in the auditorium's like, oh my gosh, and I look good, but I'm really just the guy up front doing this. And that's the analogy I use for being CEO of an esports team, at least.
It sounds like you guys have just learned, and this is how you're making future moves.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it a long time. I tell people all the time, nobody's made more mistakes in esports than I have. And I'm the first person to admit that. I've probably made every mistake out there. But if you stay positive, you keep the right attitude, you take that mistake and you put it in your back pocket, then you don't make it again. Mm-hmm. Right? What was it? Edison or someone said, I haven't failed 99 times. I've found 99 ways that won't work. So I might hit it on number 100. So a lot of times, and we talk about this a little bit in our show we did last night, it's not about the things that happen. It's about the mindset and the meaning that you place in those things. If you look at them like, I'm dumb, I'm a failure, like I'm too old to be in this business, what the hell's going on? That's the meaning I ascribe to them, that I should fail. But if I look at those mistakes like, that one stung, but I learned, and now I'm going to be that much better. That's the meaning I, ascribe to those facts, that I could slowly become wiser and wiser, and God willing, better and better at my job, and surround myself with people that have done the same thing, and hopefully build, a multi-billion-dollar esports team franchise that's multi-generational. So when my kids are older, they're going to be like, my dad founded Complexity. People will be like, what? Like, you got to be kidding me. It's like the New York Yankees or something, right? And that's our goal here at Complexity. And we're certainly not perfect, but we strive to do just a little bit better each and every day.
What are your thoughts on Rogue Company?
Ooh, yeah.
I've seen the demos. Actually, somebody popped in our Slack, said, hey, we've got some beta codes, but I've been so busy with my real job, and then at night I've been trying to do my Twitch and my YouTube stuff to kind of get some content out there. I haven't played it yet. Is that the one that's third person? Mm-hmm. I remember seeing, I think I saw it on Twitch, and I was kind of like, I guess I'm kind of old school, maybe more of a purist. I've never super got into the third person stuff. I'm much more like Counter-Strike or Overwatch or Rainbow Six. Like I was watching this one clip where the player was up against this wall, and it was, kind of like the juncture, and you can see both directions. Yeah, I'm like, if you can see both directions, Anyway, but I haven't played it. I haven't played it.
It's a little difficult. It's just like,
I mean, maybe it'd be
like
really
people
cool.
asking for SOCOM to come back, especially on the consoles. And I'm like, yeah, wait, are y'all really ready for SOCOM? Because a lot of y'all can't play these first-person shooters directly. Can you play the third-person shooters?
And I don't mean to dump on it. That was my knee-jerk first reaction. I was like, that's a little weird, but it could be super cool. Yeah.
Of course, investing in the thing right now is, of course, PC gaming is like the pinnacle of esports. Yeah. Would y'all ever try and invest or seek out like the console esports? Because of course we have these next gen consoles coming out. They're trying to push PC or beyond PC. It makes it more available for more users, so you're able to tap into more esports and content creators. Is that something y'all will look into, just based off of, okay, things are upgrading, things are changing with technology, maybe we should look at console esports as well?
Yeah, I think living in America, I think we see consoles actually as larger in the ecosystem than they are globally. PC gaming is much larger globally because people can afford a lower end PC in more parts of the world than necessarily a console that's designed in America. We've had console players before. We actually had one of the best Call of Duty squads in all of Call of Duty history. I think we won 12 championships in a row back in the day. So I love consoles. I have both consoles. I have way too many consoles in my house. I won't even share how many.
You have to do a walkthrough because I think you got some heat, some old school heat.
Yeah, my son's got a gaming utopia in here, let me tell you. But no, I have no beef with consoles. And if there's cool games that come out of that are competitive and make sense on their own two legs as an esport, I wouldn't hesitate at all. Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the show. I think you
Thanks so much.
Like for real, like you being on here for like the past 30 to 45 minutes is like I am a Complexity fanboy now. I'm a fan. Like look, I already watch Electra and I love her content and stuff like that. And just to have you on here, I'm like, I like the star. It's a star, And I've been thinking about I need to buy some merch lately. So
let's go.
I think it's gonna be you. Then it's gonna have to be 100 Thieves and then NRG. So
good choices.
That's how we're gonna go.
Yeah, and you can check out everything I've talked about, like our headquarters. We did a whole video series about it. It's on the Complexity YouTube. It's called Groundbreaking. We've done videos on a lot of this esports 3.0 stuff, as far as the chairs, as far as the science and the medicine. So check out Complexity's YouTube. And like I said, I started a new YouTube. If you want to watch some of those videos as well, that's at Jason BW Lake. That's all my properties are Jason BW Lake. But appreciate you guys having me on very much. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.